So as you guys can see, there is a ton of stuff on my desk. That's because today I'm going to be going over what I think is the ultimate a7S III cinema rig setup. Cue the intro. Hey everybody, Lumanis time here. Welcome to yet another video. For today's video, we're going to be going over the ultimate a7S III cinema rig. Okay, quick disclaimer before we start this video. This video is not sponsored by anybody, but I will have affiliate links to every product that I mention in this video. To begin things off, there's a lot of reasons why people will need a cinema rig. Sometimes people just need more accessories to mount onto their camera when they're doing more professional video work. Sometimes people just want a heavier camera so you can just really get more stable footage when shooting handheld. There's like a plethora of reasons why somebody would want a cinema rig. But the reason that I have my own cinema rig is because one, it really helps me get a lot more stable footage. Two, it really helps with handheld footage. It really helps with, everything that I like to do handheld, because I actually prefer shooting handheld as opposed to on a gimbal. And three, it makes me look cool. So let's get into building this guy out. Again, some of these things are going to be already put together. I just didn't want to really fully take apart the entire rig, because then this video will be like 20 years long and I didn't really want that. But let's get into it. First things first, guys, I have the small rig half cage. And guys, this is actually a controversial thing because this is actually the half cage for the Sony a7 III. But guys, I can assure you this guy fits completely fine in the Sony a7S III, and honestly I prefer it because you can easily take the camera out. So this is the a7 III half cage. This is the QR half cage, and I do have the Arca Swiss model. They do have a Manfrotto model, but this is the Arca Swiss model, and on it I also have a small rig handle with my monitor mount. This is an Airy style monitor mount, so it has the Airy locating pins, so you can basically get it in here and you know that it's not gonna come out. And I also have the small rig wooden handle on this guy. I absolutely love this cage. I used it with my a7 III. Now I've moved on to my a7S III, and this is gonna be my primary cage that I use this with. This is a great cage, it's very lightweight. And it's just really awesome. You'll see why I love it towards the end of the video after I have everything built. So let's go ahead and put the camera in here. Guys, this is the Sony a7S III, and I have the 24G Master lens on there. Awesome lens. I absolutely love this. This is my main filming lens. I do have more lenses, but this is just the one that I prefer to film with the most. On here, you guys also see this little gear here. I just like putting an extended gear on my lenses, just because it really gives me more control with focusing, especially with my rig. I don't really have a follow focus. I do have one, I just don't really use it because I just don't really like it. So there's that. So let's go ahead and get the camera in the cage. All right, so to get the camera in the cage, all you really would do is just push it in here, push down this lever, and then pull this lever back. And as you guys can see, this camera is locked into the cage, and it does not block the door. I'll show you guys here. The door comes out. It doesn't block any of the doors, and the screen is able to come out. So I do like that. Again, guys, this is for the a7 III, but it works perfectly fine with the a7S III. So this is the cage. Let's move on. So right here is my base plate. I already have this kind of built already, just kind of to save time. So but what it is just a small rig base plate. And I do have a Arca Swiss quick release on here. You'll see why later in the video. And then I also have a USB cord that's kind of just like through here, just to make it a little bit cleaner. So as we all know, the a7S III does accept power delivery. So basically I'll be able to power my a7S III while using it, while keeping the battery in it, just in case I do need to hot swap, my camera won't die and I will be able to continue recording. So that is good. And I also have a little Manfrotto plate on the bottom, just because I just didn't want this to be completely open, but there it is. So with that being said, with this base plate, we have 15mm rods. So these 15mm rods are kind of like a custom thing. These are small rig, the carbon fiber ones, they're super duper light. I did buy the 12-inch one, but I ended up cutting it down a little bit further, and you'll see why, because I kind of had to rig my rig up just a little bit. So I cut this down because I didn't want it to be super duper long, because I don't really want a super massive cinema rig. But let's get these guys through and I'll show you guys exactly what I mean when I say why I cut it down. That is looking good in my opinion. So I did cut these down to about 7.5 inches. I don't really remember exactly how far I cut it down, but you guys will see exactly why I cut it down in a second. So after that, what I would do is then mount my V-mount plate here. Right here I have the Soonwell V-mount plate. This is a great plate. It's very inexpensive. I did kind of mess up in my order and got one that didn't have a USB port, but I mean, it's okay because I have a USB port on the V-mount battery, so it's not that big of a deal for me. So I didn't really think it was worth it to get another one. Maybe in the future, I'll probably get one that does have a USB plate so I don't have to, you know, have it plugged into the battery. But for now, this works perfectly fine. If you guys don't like it, you can beat me up in the comments. But here we go. Let's get this guy on. And we are golden. So next thing that I would add to this plate is the matte box. So matte boxes are super duper important because they do help you basically add filters, so you don't have to get filters for every single one of your lenses. And most importantly, it makes you look really cool. So my matte box of choice is the Fotga DP500 Mark III. This is a swing away matte box. I absolutely love it. It's just really nice and it is very inexpensive. You can get this guy for like 200 bucks. Some matte boxes are like $900, $1,000, and you know, we don't have time for that. So in order to affix this matte box to my rig, I actually do have to rig my matte box. Basically, in order for my rig to be completely quick release, I basically had to rise my camera. So when I had my matte box on the rails, it was a little bit too short. So basically, I just kind of did a little, you know, super duper rig to kind of get it so it will be flush to the lens and I won't have to like adjust it, and everything is still quick release. So the way that I did it is that I got these two small rig 15mm rod mounts, and basically I put them on top of each other and basically have more 15mm rods go through, and then I affixed the matte box to that. So I basically put these guys together using rods and a bolt, and it honestly works very well, and I really loved how it turned out. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so that took far longer than it needed to take, but we basically got the rig set up how we want it. So now all I'm gonna do is affix it to my 15mm rails right here, and then we're basically good for business. Now that we got that onto the rail, all we need to do is basically get these 15mm rods in this guy, and then we are all set to get the matte box onto the rig. So let's go ahead and get that done. Now that we finally got that done, that was a little bit of a process. It's a tedious process, but you know, it's worth it. But now, as you can see, my 15mm rods turn out to be around 10 inches with everything here. But let's get this matte box on here and the rig will basically be pretty much put together for the most part. Okay, so now we got the matte box on here. We can swing it into place and it is now in place. So here we go. Next thing that I would do is then put the camera in here just to make sure I have the matte box in the correct placement. And this is why I absolutely love this setup, because as you guys can see, all I have to do, my lens cap fell off, but all we have to do is basically affix this guy in here and then tighten up this knob here for the quick release plate. And boom. As you guys can see, it is now in great placement. I'll just lift up this eyebrow here, but it's in great placement. And this is why basically I had to do that whole rig, so I can basically get that. And yeah, I absolutely love that. But let's go ahead and keep on building this rig. So the next thing that I would place on this rig is my monitor, and my monitor of choice is the Atomos Ninja 5. Now, don't get me wrong, with the release of the a7S III, you don't really need a monitor, but with a cinema rig, it honestly really helps to have one. All right. So I got the Atomos in here, and with this monitor mount, it's just really great. You can kind of just put it in, you know, different locations and it works just fine. So with the Atomos, I also use this 500 gig SSD Angelbird drive. And this is really great because it doesn't stick out of the side. I mean, it's not too big of a deal if it sticks out of the side, but just from a look standpoint, it looks a lot better when it's flush. But these SSDs are super duper expensive, but you know, really great. For ProRes RAW, I mean, a7S III, it does allow you to shoot ProRes RAW with the Atomos Ninja 5. But I mean, with this, you're probably gonna get like 10 minutes of ProRes RAW. So I will probably have to get a 2 terabyte version, which is super duper expensive. But you know, that's the price of quality, huh? But let's go ahead and get this in here. So with all of this in my rig, as you guys can see, my rig is super duper front heavy. So let's go ahead and put this V-mount battery on, and that should in theory counter the weight. So let's get this guy on. I don't even know the brand of this V-mount battery, but it works perfectly fine. It's like UOOR, I don't know. It'll be linked in the description, but this is the V-mount battery that I use. This is a 95 watt hour battery, so it's really good. It has a USB port and a DTAP port, just in case I do need it. There we go. And with that, finally things are back to normal. We're not top heavy anymore. But as you guys can see, this rig is really taking shape. Let's go ahead and plug this guy in to the USB port. I do keep it plugged in at all times, but I just don't keep it plugged into the camera at all times. So that's the way I run this guy here. So as you guys can see, for the sake of this video, I didn't really take out the filters. The filters that I would use for this matte box are like my ProMist filters. I usually keep my ProMist or my ND filters, you know, they're in a package somewhere. I just didn't feel like getting them to put in here because I'm not really using this right now, but that is what is in here. My matte box is not empty. It's not just for show. But as you guys can see, guys, this thing is really starting to take shape. It's really starting to look like a cinema rig, and I absolutely love it. I'm just gonna put this guy down for now. But the next thing we're gonna get into are the cables. So for my Atomos Ninja 5, I use this eliminator that comes with it. And then I also have this DTAP to whatever port this is cable. I will have it linked in the description. It was an expensive port, but I do like it because it does have that lock on here. So I can't yank it out, and it's just really quality. So this is the port that I would use for my Atomos Ninja 5. So let's get this guy on here. There we go. And then from here, I would also kind of just like rig it through these guys and kind of, you know, just have it there so it looks a little bit cleaner. Again, that's just what I would do. I'm not gonna do it for the sake of this video because this video is long enough already. So now we have power to the monitor, and as we remember from the beginning of the video, the power to the camera from the V-mount battery was already on here. I just kind of like snake it through the base plate. So let's get that in there. Boom. And now guys, for the HDMI cable, I know a lot of people always have issues with HDMI cables, especially with 10-bit footage. But this HDMI cable, this is from ZILR. This is a great HDMI cable. Again, I'll have it linked in the description if you guys want to check it out. But this is the HDMI cable that I use, and I recommend this HDMI cable to anybody that's going to be using the a7S III with a monitor. So there's the rig. It's all set up, looking nice and happy. Again, guys, I would have cleaned this up, but for the sake of the video, I didn't. It's just long enough. So, you know, I'll probably include a picture of exactly how I'd have cleaned it up. So guys, remember before when I said that the half cage for the a7 III was the best cage that you can use for the a7S III? Well, here's why, guys. Let's say hypothetically, I'm doing a gig where I don't really need everything here. I don't need this V-mount battery. I don't need the matte box. I just don't need it. All I would really have to do is take out the delivery to the Atomos Ninja 5 and then unplug the power delivery to the camera, unscrew this little screw here, and boom. Way more portable, way more, you know, easy to hold, handheld. Great. Boom. Let's say things change and I do need the whole rig, then all I would really have to do is just sit it in here, tighten up this little lever right here, then obviously put in everything, put in the camera power, put in the monitor power, then boom, everything's all set up. But let's say, okay, I don't need any of this stuff altogether. All I really need is the camera. Then, okay, perfect, boom. All I would need to do is unplug this HDMI cable, pull this little lever forward here, pull this little lever down, and boom, just like that, camera. So guys, that was basically instantly, instead of basically having to, you know, break down the entire rig to do all of that. So that's why I believe that the half cage for the Sony a7 III is perfect for the Sony a7S III. So there you guys have it. This has been my a7S III cinema rig. If you guys did like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit that little bell notification so you don't miss any videos. Also guys, let me know if you guys were inspired by this rig. I would really love to hear it. Let me know things that you do like about this rig, things that you don't like about this rig. Just let me know in the comments. Also guys, remember all the products that I mentioned before are gonna be linked in the description. It would really help me out if you guys did use those links. So with that being said guys, this is Lumana's time. This is my a7S III cinema rig, and I'm out. Peace.